We are live. Hello and welcome to Wednesdays with Whit on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, Whit Devereaux. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Listiner Inspires. And today we have a very special guest with us, the author, CEO, and founder of Little Owners, LLC, Mrs. Pongee Barnes. Welcome, Pongee.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. So before we dive into our topic for today, which is overcoming financial illiteracy, please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I am Pongee Barnes. I am a mom of two boys. I live on the south side of Chicago. I'm married. I am the founder of Little Owners, which is a children's book series that focuses on entrepreneurship and financial literacy. Also, I'm a real estate investor. So that, in a nutshell, is who I am.
Awesome. Okay, so speaking of today's topic, which again is overcoming financial illiteracy, why is this messaging so important to you and ultimately important to our listeners?
I think, especially with the pandemic, this is important to everyone right now. If financial literacy wasn't important before, I'm pretty sure it's important and pertains to your life right now. Especially as people are laid off. We've seen the largest number of unemployment since, the Depression. So I think it's important that we understand, multiple streams of income, how to invest, things like that will help us build generational wealth and passive income so we don't have to work so hard. I think that's why. And then it's just important to me because it's something I want to make sure I pass down to my children. There are some lessons that I did not learn until I became, a college student. And I want to make sure my children and other people's children get those lessons way before they're leaving college, or if they're, if they don't decide to go to college, they're in adulthood, not understanding how to, manage their finances.
Absolutely. I know for myself, it was a lot that I didn't learn until I was an adult that I wish I would have learned, like say high school, even when it came to financial aid and taking out loans and things of that nature. So I think what you're doing is really important. And like you said, especially during this pandemic where people are laid off and you got to be creative on how you create these extra streams of income and ultimately generational wealth. So can you share one second.
Okay.
Can you share a little bit about your writing process? So we know that you're an author, but some people here may not be, so familiar with your writing. I know that you wrote a real estate book and then also your children's books. Can you just talk a little bit about your writing process?
Okay, so the first book I wrote, Real Estate and Chill, that book took a long time to actually accomplish. And I say that meaning like I wrote the book in probably like 3 weeks, but I had been writing a book since I was in college at like 18 or 19 years old. That book didn't get produced until 2018. So for years, I was writing a book and I would have my laptop and I would write like, I wasn't consistently writing, but I probably had about 100 pages. But none of it made sense. And I remember being frustrated because I'm one of those people that likes to check stuff off my list. And so every year I'd have on there as a goal that I'm going to publish a book. And it never happened. And one day I was like talking to God and I was really frustrated. And I was like, I don't understand. I feel like I need to be a writer, but you're not letting me accomplish this. And that's when God kind of said to me, you're not writing what I told you to write. You're writing what you want to write. And so that's when I went back to the foundation of what do I love to do? And it came back to real estate investing, especially when people are always reaching out to me about how to invest in real estate and some of my experiences. And that was, so natural for me. So when I actually put pen to paper for that one, when I tell you that all of the information poured out, I didn't have any type of writer's block like what I experienced with the other book I was trying to write. So you have to just be true to what you know and who you are when you're writing, because otherwise you're going to find yourself frustrated with the process. The The second books, with the children books, sorry, those books were written in about 6 months. So I went and spoke at an entrepreneurship day at an elementary school on the south side of Chicago in Inglewood. And I was talking to the children about what I did as a real estate investor. And there were other entrepreneurs in the room. And so we were just kind of talking with the children about what we do, and they were really fascinated. But I was really kind of just inspired by them because they were in awe, like, wow, you can take these properties that look like this and make them, completely better and safer and cleaner. And I walked away so inspired by that. And I was thinking, I don't like the idea that they only have an entrepreneurship day once a year. Like that disturbed me a lot. And it stayed on my heart. And I was like, how can I have children access entrepreneurship, financial literacy on a daily basis? Like, how can they have this access? And basically it came to me to write the books, and God just started giving me titles, and I haven't stopped writing since then. So like, for instance, we have 8 that are published, but I'm on number 12. So like, I'm telling you that I will be anywhere and God will give me an idea and I will go home and write that book. So for me, the writing process is not something where it's like a ritual that I do. When the idea comes to me, I'm very purposeful about like either using my phone to actually record notes because you don't want to forget, or writing it down or something because you don't want to forget your ideas. But when I get that quiet time, when the kids are in the bed and I have that time, I go ahead and I knock the book out. So that's my writing process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So
that
let me
actually sounds like you. Yes, that sounds like Listiner.
Like, let me just chime in there because I got excited. I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. That's how I am. Like hearing someone else that talks about like, I actually have more books in the vault. It's just waiting for God's timing. I had shared with a few people that I have like, I want 37 books out in 37 years. People are like, well, wow, how? I'm like, I already got it ready. And like you, I have my phone, I have my journal, I take my laptop, and when God said go, I'm like, boom, there you go. So girl, I like you. Yes.
Yes, it is a gift. It really is a gift. Like, God gives you these ideas and you got to just put the pen to paper. So
yes. I want to hug you virtually.
Yeah, I knew that you would really connect with her because Listiner has a lot of different journals, books. Both of us are authors as well. And so that's exciting when we have somebody else who is on who enjoys writing so much as well. Let's see, I have a comment here. Hi, Diola. Thanks for joining us. Please make sure you hit that share. Okay, so moving right along. Can you tell us about like 2 of your top sellers or maybe even a book bundle that's really done well during this time of the pandemic, COVID-19?
Actually, the 8-book bundle series is selling, really well. Parents are just loving the idea that they can have, 8 books to kind of explain and just introduce the idea of entrepreneurship, introduce the idea of basic, principles in finance that they, want to make sure that their children get that. But our number one seller is Riley, the Real Estate Investor. And that one was featured on Crane. So that's like our most notable book. So that book is, I guess people love the idea that I have simplified real estate investing for children in a book. And so that one is really, really popular on Amazon, especially on our website. So that book just talks about a girl named Riley, and she is the most, she has the most real estate investing, the most real estate investing portfolio of any female in America. And so she owns hotels, she owns apartment buildings, she owns mobile homes, she owns, all types of buildings, single families, things like that. And it talks about her journey of starting as a real estate agent, helping people buy their first home, and then she slowly graduates into flipping and just developing their neighborhoods and eventually just owning like high rises and things like that. And so that book talks about the importance of mentorship because she was mentored. The book also talks about things such as what is a landlord, what is passive income. So you'll find those principles in the book. so that children can get like a grasp on what real estate investing is and the wealth that it can bring you. Because most people that are millionaires are have done so through real estate investing. So that's why it's so important that real estate is a strong pillar of wealth, and everybody should have a piece of real estate. Okay. No, you don't have to have a large portfolio because that's not for everyone, but you should you should own a piece of real estate because that's something you can continually pass down in your family.
Oh my goodness, this is awesome. So let me ask you a question. What targeted age group is your books for?
6-year-olds to 12. So 6 to 12 is where we focus. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I have a 16-year-old. I'm like, I try to break down financial literacy to him, trying to get him interested in, entrepreneurship and business.
Yes.
And so I'm like, shoot, I might just buy that for him anyway. Like, look, read these, look at the pictures, and we're going to talk about this.
No, you know what? We have Robert, the real estate investor, and this is what I'll tell you. I had a CPS teacher use this book for her class, and she said, I am like 37 years old and I learned stuff from Robert, the real estate investor, that I didn't even know. So honestly, he might really be able to benefit because she's a 4th grade CPS teacher. And she told me, she was like, I can't believe I actually gained knowledge by reading this book to the kids. So yeah.
Low key though, I'm going to read it for myself first and I'll read it for him.
Right. Because I always did want to get into real estate. It's just getting started. So I think this is awesome that you have it for children, and then also your real estate and chill book for older adults.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So if you all are just tuning in to Wednesdays with Whit, we have the author, CEO, and founder of Little Owners, Pongee Barnes. If you look across the screen, you will see where you can connect with her further, which is on littleowners.com. Can you tell them again where else they may be able to purchase your book series for their children?
We're also on Amazon.com. So you can get the individual books there. Our website allows you to buy the bundles because there was a huge demand for the bundles. So it depends on what you're interested in, but you can buy individuals on our website as well.
So give us a few of the other titles too.
Yes.
Besides the real estate.
Yeah, so our other titles, one of them that, another one that's really popular is Franklin the Franchise Owner. So that book was co-written by my son, Franklin, he was 6 at the time. He just made 7 on Sunday. But we wrote that book because I feel like other moms struggle with their kids always asking for fast food. And he is like, I have one that's a health nut, and I have one that's like, can we get some Chick-fil-A nuggets or some McDonald's,
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of explain to him that you don't want to just be a consumer. You can actually be an owner. So you can buy some McDonald's stock. When you get older, you can buy a franchise. They have the Black McDonald's franchise owner group. So I wanted to expose children to the fact that you can actually make money from actually owning a franchise or owning some stock in a franchise. And then even in the back of the book, we talk about celebrities that own franchises. So for them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that Chris Brown owned 14 Burger Kings. Or I didn't know that Rick Ross owned. So that's why I feel like in our community, we have a celebrity culture of we worship celebrities. And so I wanted to make sure that children can relate and feel like, okay, this is cool. This person owns, all of these franchises. Maybe I might want to own one, or maybe I create one. Maybe I'm the next Hero's Chicken, maybe I create franchises across, where I live. So that's another popular book.
That's really awesome. So I know your children are Benjamin and Franklin. Yes. Is that for a reason? Like the money, generation?
Right. I thought about that too. I was like, oh, that's smart.
Yes.
I don't know. I love Benjamin. And I don't know, like Franklin, I just, his name is because of his brothers. Cause I was like, it's got a good ring to it. So we just went with it, Benjamin Franklin. So yeah, nothing really significant, but I just kind of want to give them like really strong presidential names. So wanted to make sure that they have, and plus I like classic names. So those are kind of like older names to me.
For those who are listening, you have to, can I just say this? You have to speak life over your children. I love the fact that she said, I wanted to give them presidential names, because a lot of times names mean a lot. People don't understand. Like, they go with you forever, forever, ever, ever. And you have to think about what you're speaking into your children, what you hope for them to become starts with what you pour into them. So that is awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that. Okay, and so I know that May, for those who don't know, May is Short Story Month, and you've been doing Storytime Live. Can you tell us what Storytime Live is about and how people who want to join you will be able to do so?
So story time is basically a time every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We go on Instagram, little_owners, and then we also go on Facebook at Little Owners, and we read the books. And so I wanted to give my audience taste of the book. So maybe they've heard of the books, but they didn't want to purchase yet, and so they want to listen to what they're going to get first. And then also for the people that just have the books and they just want to get some, just the person that wrote the book. So when I'm reading the book, I'm really telling about the inspiration, some of the things that maybe you're reading the book, but you overlooked. So we talk about that. And my kids, sometimes they will join in and they will read, books that they've actually co-authored, or they'll just read, a book from the series. But you'll always find me there reading one of our books and, or, alone or with my children. And also it's just a time for me to connect with my audience. So to see where they're struggling, what their aspirations for their children. Sometimes even the children are, reading along with us. We have grandparents that join in with us. So I love story time because it's just a way to really connect with parents that are, wanting something better for their children, like-minded parents, right? These are parents that are above the fray. They are really, looking to, make sure their children have a really good, bright future and a good start.
Yeah, I love that, especially because the children are home.
Yes.
We need to find creative ways to keep them engaged and not on our backs. You probably heard my children in the background. Life is real. So I think that Storytime Live is something that is awesome. How do your children feel about being co-authors?
They love it. One of them, we were at a reading and they're like, I feel like a celebrity. No, but they do because, the children will actually express to them like, oh, wow, I think that's so cool. Or they look up to them because they're like, some parents will come to us and say like, I would love for my child to be an author, or the kid will say, I would love to be like an author like you guys. So it really just inspires, and it ignites like a little light bulb for people that even think about it. Some of those kids like, oh my goodness, I can be an author. One kid thought like they had to wait till they were like 20 something to become an author. And when they saw my boys, they were like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're right, I can write the book. So they love it. They love inspiring other children, and it gives them confidence too, because I have kind of like shy kids. And so it kind of brings them out their shell a little bit, because they can be very shy. But this has been challenging for them, and it kind of brings them to another level where they have like more confidence in themselves. They speak better. So it's been good for everybody.
Yeah, I bet. I think that's really exciting. My oldest wants to write a book as well. So I'm going to show her your book series so she can see like there are children that are doing this that I actually have some type of connection to, not just people on TV, because people need to see it like happening right in their area, in their neighborhood.
Exactly. I totally agree. So they find them extremely relatable.
And it's good to know that, let children see that there's no age range on when you want to start your dreams.
That is so true.
If you have a dream, start building it from the start of like the idea in your head and build on it. And that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And then as parents, we're supposed to nurture that, right? So when we see our child has an interest in something, I think we should be the carriers and make sure that, we provide that environment and those resources so that children can actually live that out. So that's our responsibility, to me as parents, to make sure that they're able to live their dreams.
Indeed.
Yeah, so I know during the school year, you were doing different workshops and things of that nature. Are you still presently accepting speaking opportunities or doing any workshops, whether they be virtual or maybe something in the future?
Definitely accepting speaking engagement opportunities. And then also in terms of the future, what that looks like. We haven't, in terms of being able to actually go into the schools or libraries like how we were doing. I don't know what that looks like, to be honest. This year, maybe next year, I don't know. But we are trying to, for the summer, have some type of like entrepreneurship workshop. So even on my Instagram, I talked about like 5 different business ideas that children can do over the summer. That's not going to require them to actually, have contact with, people. So one of those was like a t-shirt business. I also talked about like online tutoring. So maybe you have a kid that's really smart, right? Put that brain to work and let them earn some money and teach other children that are struggling and let them become a tutor. And that's something you can do with a Zoom session or Google Meets for free. Let the parents in the, Cash App or PayPal, however you want to pay. And that's a little summer job for them. And it doesn't require them like, endangering their health by going to somebody's house and tutoring them. So I think that's an option. I also talked about, becoming maybe an illustrator. Maybe your kid's good at drawing and they can draw for other people. So there's like a different ideas. I also talked about helping your child become an author. So we want to this summer help parents turn their children into little owners. So that's something we're looking forward to, like even providing like a business like format for a proposal for, their business idea. So those are some of the things we're looking forward to in the summer. And I think parents will enjoy that.
Yeah, I already heard 2 things that got my attention, especially for my youngest. She wants to be a teacher.
Yeah.
She's in a gifted program, so that give her something to do and also make her some money, because I told them, y'all need a job. Y'all need to contribute.
I agree completely.
Yes. And then also the one about becoming an author.
Yes, exactly.
So how would people like join you with that? Where would they be able to connect with you to find out more information about those upcoming summer activities?
So those will be on my Instagram as well as my Facebook page. So Instagram on little_owners, as well as Facebook little owners. And that's where I'll be putting up the information, and we can, as it progresses, I'll, set up something so that we can actually have like a virtual meeting room and we can kind of put that workshop together. So definitely keep following me on my platforms and you'll see that information. But I'm looking forward to it because I'm actually going to be putting my kids to work as well. So, they're going to sell more books, find, creative ways to get on their, get on the social media and sell more of their books. So they do take pride when they sell their books. They love doing that. They especially loved it in person because they would have competitions. Oh, I'm going to sell this many books and you're going to, I'm going to win. So I love that healthy competition of, understanding selling and, profit and all those things. So, you can definitely follow us there to learn more information.
Cool. So we are super grateful to have Little Owners as a sponsor for today's episode. For those who are just joining in, can you tell us what separates Little Owners series from other programs or services for children?
So I think what makes us really unique is that not only are we, talking about entrepreneurship and financial literacy, because there are many books out there that also teach children that. But ours is different because we pride ourselves on exposing children to different career paths. So we're not just saying, okay, become an entrepreneur, own your own business. What type of business? So sometimes in our community, we get focused on the glamorous business, right? But that's not always where the money is. So like even in my recent book, Stephen, the sports agent. Well, this is for all those children out there that was never good enough to be that professional football player or professional NBA player. Well, guess what? There's another side of the coin. You can represent the athletes and you're not wearing your body out. You're not, jeopardizing your brain for the future because you've been playing football. You're not doing any of that. You're sitting and you're using your brain and you're getting 4 to 10% of the commission. I even, go into, in the back of the book, we talk about the Rich Paul rule. and, how that impacted, the NBA and things like that. So we are teaching children Valerie the vendor. Some kids didn't even know that you can own some vending machines and then you can actually build a whole empire out of just buying vending machines, ATM machines, and you can live off of. That's passive income, and people make really good money doing that. My children are actually going to be doing that this summer, is buying a vending machine and being responsible
Wow.
for packing the snacks and choosing the snacks, and we'll be pricing it out and things like that. So ours is so different because some children had no idea that they could actually do these things. So that's what makes ours so different, is we choose different career paths. And then when I'm writing Little Owners, I'm writing from the perspective of Black Wall Street. So when I write, I'm thinking of, like, there's Carter, the car dealership owner. Some kids drive by car dealerships home. They know about cars. Black people are the number one consumers buying new cars. But we barely own any dealerships. So I wanted to awaken the mind that, guess what? 50, 60, 100 years ago, everything that happened in Black communities was by Black people. Black banks, Black car dealerships. Before there was Henry Ford, there was a Black man that invented a car. So when I'm writing from the perspective of, we need all these moving parts in a community to help it move. We don't need to be self-reliant on other people. So we have, for instance, I have TJ the trucker that's going to be coming out soon. Truck drivers are important. And they're also another way to make really good money. There are people that own trucks. They don't drive a truck, but they own several trucks that they're able to rent to other people and make money. So we're just passionate about letting kids know that there are easier ways to make a buck, and they're not glamorous. And no, you may not become a celebrity, no, but you'll have a very comfortable, successful, rich lifestyle. So that's what sets us apart, I think.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But I was taking notes. I was like, Tori's gonna own a vending machine.
Yes. For real, that is really incredible. Because who would think about that, day to day? But that is a really good way to make some passive income.
Yes.
So if you're doing that over the summer too, we'll be signing right on up for that workshop.
I'm put my name down. I'm bringing Tori with it. He's like, he's like, hey, listen, okay, you need to pull your weight around here. Okay?
Exactly, right?
So what does creating generational wealth mean to you, and how is Little Owners helping to establish that?
Okay, so generational wealth to me means like giving your child a springboard to actually go to another level. So when I say that, I feel like even when I grew up middle class, but I feel like I had to still start from zero as an adult. Like I didn't have a college, I didn't have any college tuition paid, so I had student loan debt. I didn't have someone didn't give me a down payment for a house. Nobody paid for my wedding, So when I think of generational wealth, I think of my children not having to start at zero like me, but maybe starting at 7, right? And so I want, to me, generational wealth is a springboard. So I'm a real estate investor. Do I want my children to take our portfolio to another level? Absolutely. But if at least I teach them the principles and the blueprint of how I got it, then they can take that and maybe they liquidate it and they say, okay, I don't want to do real estate, but I like the idea of buying a McDonald's. So I'm going to take that money, I'm going to put it into another asset, not liquidate and go buy a Bugatti, but liquidate and buy another asset. And then I'm going to take that asset and I'm going to triple mom and dad's money that they left us, right? So that's, in my mind, is taking the money that you have, your parents have left you, and you're double and triple it, and you're able to, have that be something that your children can enjoy. So now you have that money to pass on to your own children. So your grandchildren can eat off this money. So that's what it's really important. Generational and generational wealth is really important because you don't want to keep having so many Black kids start at zero. So that's why, real estate is important, investing is important. But we won't have generational wealth because we've had a lot of Black people that are wealthy, right? Even just upper middle class families that may be doctors or something like that. But what happens is if we don't teach our children how we made that money, It's not generational wealth. They just squander their fortunes. And so
Right.
it's so important to teach them the blueprint. That's why my kids are involved in our real estate, because I want them to see the process. I want them to see the blood, sweat, and tears, our bad days, our good days, our processes, so that they're not 35 years old and we die. And then they're like, I have no idea I don't know how to run this. That would be a failure on my part. So they know now at 7-9 different processes of how to do real estate. What a good deal looks like. They're shadowing me, and if they decide not to do that, that's fine. But they can't say that I didn't give them the keys to actually create wealth and to take the wealth that I'm going to leave them and to multiply that. So that's why it's so important. I just don't want to be one of those parents that spends all of my years creating wealth only for the children to take the money and squander it.
Yes. A lot of things came to mind as you were speaking. And with what's going on currently, can you tell us if it's a good time to still do real estate investing and flipping properties? Like, is this a good time for people who are wanting to find out more about it and actually starting to do it if they haven't been prior to COVID-19?
Most real estate investors that are seasoned are pivoting out of flipping. And then as far as is it a good time to buy? Personally, I would say no. If you look at the market, the prices are really high still. There's been no decline in prices. So for me, when people ask me, and personally for myself, because I'm actually sitting and waiting as well, I'm going to be more comfortable investing and buying another piece of property in the fall or winter, because then I think we'll see the fallout of this real estate recession. Right now I'm not comfortable because I feel like I'm buying at the height of the market. And I'm not a real estate investor that buys at the height of the market. My specialty is to buy distressed properties at really good prices. I never buy anything turnkey. And turnkey just means that you're buying a property that's already been renovated, maybe has a tenant in there, and it's ready to go. All of my properties are basically fixer-uppers. So right now, even fixer-uppers are going for high prices. So very, very low, but you keep the prices high. And personally, I'm not going to engage in this market until later on, and we start to see some of the prices come down. But I think that you should be prepared. So that doesn't mean that, okay, well, that's another excuse for now. I think you should get your ducks in a row. Go get your financing together. Go speak to a lender. Okay, what do I need to do to get pre-approved so that when it's time to strike, I'm ready. You don't need to be seeing a good deal and then you call a realtor up or a lender and you're like, how can I get financing? That's too late. So I would say start saving for your down payment. Go speak to a lender. Find out what you would need for that down payment, what type of financing you would need and qualify for. If you have to fix your credit, this is the perfect time to do it. Start working on that. So I say this is the time to prepare for a recession so that you can be able to actually take advantage of that recession and actually thrive in it.
That is good sound advice. Because I know sometimes people are pushing to go now. This is the opportune time to do X, Y, Z. And so I think it is important to prepare, whether it's for real estate or you're trying to prepare for something else that God is telling you to do. And yes, this is a faith-based broadcast. So if you all are just tuning in, welcome to Wednesdays with Whit. Listiner and I have our guest, Pongee Barnes. Across the screen, you will see how you can connect with her at littleowners.com. Just to say something else about the generational wealth, there are a lot of times where I've made posts about doing that myself with my own children. Instead of creating generational curses, let's break those and start creating generational wealth. So when we are long and gone, we have a legacy we have left behind that continues to live on, right? Absolutely. I think that's super, super important. So I applaud you for what you and your children and your husband are doing with Little Owners.
I also wanted to say, I like how you said they're part of the process. I think
Yes.
that's important because I do that with my youngest son. Like he every little entity of my businesses, he sees like me going to the store to get the products. I ask his inquiry like, what do you think about that pricing? So he's involved and he can sell my books for me if I need him to vend while I go do something at somewhere else.
Oh,
So
I love that.
that's important because they understand like, okay, mommy didn't just make this money. Now she's a millionaire. There was blood, sweat, tears, crying, praying, pulling out your hair. Well, I ain't got none, but when you have hair, pull it out, all that good stuff. So they value that money. They're not gonna just go, like you said, squander it and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a Benz, and then they still broke. Like, no.
Exactly. Yeah, we've seen it play out way too much in our community, and we really need to turn the page on that culture and start teaching our children that, look, I'm a very pragmatic person, and I'm not going to tell you that I don't like luxury cars or luxury things, but there is a balance, and I'm trying to make sure that, like, I don't want people to think, okay, I have to drive a Toyota Corolla and I'm sitting on $1 million. Like, you don't have to do that, but you don't have to also take all of your money and invest it into things that are not assets. So just creating a balance, you can still have a nice lifestyle, but it's more important to focus on creating that lifestyle, making sure that it continually increases so that you don't have to work so hard. So that's kind of my messaging. I think sometimes people get turned off by that message because they think that they can't have those luxury things. I think you can do both. I think that's a good balance. I think that assets can pay for your liabilities. That's what I'll say.
I agree. So, is there any parting words that you like to leave with the audience regarding the statement, creating generational wealth? People who never heard about it, what would be some parting words that you'd like to leave?
I think that creating generational wealth is the utmost important. I don't think it's rocket science, and let's just simplify it. Creating generational wealth is meaning that you can just leave your house to your children, right? And explain to your children to keep the property in the family. I think that's another failure on our side, is that we sell Big Mama's house. And that's a piece of property that we could have taken some equity out on and use that property to open up a business. I mean, when you think about the shark guy, I think his name is Damon, the black guy in the Shark Tank. And he talks about how his mom was able to take a loan out on their home so he can actually start, FUBU. So when you think about those stories, if you don't have any real estate or something that you can pull from, you're not going to be able to leave your children with anything. If his mom didn't own her own property, FUBU probably would have never existed, because he wouldn't have had the capital, because it's not that easy for us to go to banks. But just think about your house as like a little bank for your child. So maybe they decide, they don't want to go to college and they need that capital to start a business. What's a great gift to be able to get that to them, or leave your house with them and they're able to, not pay rent and stay in your house that's paid off. And that gives them a head start in life because they can live somewhere rent free. So just think about it in terms of that. It's not about, leaving $1 million, just leaving your real estate paid off, clear and free to them, leaving a nice life insurance policy, for $500,000 or whatever it is that you can afford. But it's very simple. I don't want this to be like something complex. It's basically just taking an asset that you acquired and you worked for, and able to pass that on to your children and allowing them to multiply that. So I would just say, start simple. Start with the life insurance policy. Start with buying a piece of property, preferably a 2 to 4 unit property. I love when people can start out buying like a building, because FHA does actually let you use, FHA financing, which is 3% down. And so just imagine buying a 4 unit for 3% down, and just knowing that if anybody in your family ever went on hard times, homeless or whatever may have happened, they can stay in a unit and you can still use other units to rent out and make money, right? So I just think that, it's not rocket science. We can definitely do this. It's been done. And I just encourage the parents to, teach their children early so that they can actually, be successful in terms of using that wealth to create more wealth. So those are my parting words.
Thank you, Pongee. I really like the simple ideas that you gave that people might not even thought about when they hear the term generational wealth. Everybody is at one point going to leave here. So I really like the life insurance policy. Having something that's more than just enough to cover the service, but something that will help your family long after you're gone. And then also having the house and keeping it in the family. That definitely would have been helpful. So, going forward, that's something that I even want to do for my own children and children's children, for them to have the generational wealth. So thanks for those two different practical tips that people can use. And so for anybody who is just tuning in, our sponsor for today's show is Little Owners. Why Little Owners? Little Owners LLC is a company dedicated to educating all children on the various career paths to success. Helping parents and schools expose children to non-traditional and traditional entrepreneurship is at the cornerstone of our company. Our goal is to enlighten and enrich each child that reads our books with inspiration and an expanded paradigm of what's possible. So you can connect with Pongee, Benjamin, and Franklin on littleowners.com. Right, Listiner, before I just close it off, you got anything else you want to ask Pongee?
Actually, she covered everything. I was taking notes in like my journal.
I saw you.
You saw me. I was like, ooh, okay, period. Cool. I love that. And I think that what you're doing is much needed and it's important, and it's valuable. So continue to do what you're doing. I do have a question. Yes, I do. What, I know you talked about you grew up middle class and just the little bit of your background, but what is something that continues to drive and motivate you? Because we all know, like in entrepreneurship, when we're purpose driven, there still are challenges, right? And so what is maybe one or two key things that keep you going in spite of the challenges that you might come across?
Good question.
I think vision, I feel like God gave me the vision already, so I kind of know where I'm going. And so even though like you have that bad days, I think that I see the big picture. I'm a very big picture type of person. So I don't get caught up in the nuances and the small details or the mishaps. I'm very much aware of what the vision is going to look like, the manifestation of it. So for me, it's vision. And then secondly, it's my children. It's really my children. I want to make sure that I leave a lasting impression on them, and not so much just leaving them a boatload of money, but I want to make sure that they are also just productive adults that leave a lasting impression on this world as well. And so I want them to inspire other people and, be great and give back to their community and different things like that. And so I can't expect things of them that I'm not doing myself. So I have a level and I have a standard for them. So I have to maintain a standard in order for them to be able to do the same thing. So I cannot sit around and have a pity party, quit all the time, things like that, and expect my children to grow up to be great men. They model what they see. So what is it? More is called than taught. So I just think that, when you have a calling in your life, also when you've seen the vision, you keep those two things in perspective and understand that people are watching you, then you can keep going, because you're doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for the next person to let them know that it's possible. So, yeah.
Period and amen.
Yes. Thank you again, Pongee, for joining us. We will be back for next Wednesdays with Whit. We're here every second and fourth Wednesday. We're back. So you can connect with us if you'd like to have your product or service featured on this show on whitdevereaux.com/radio-show. And you will see that also going across the screen. If you have more questions for Pongee, you can leave them in the comment section, but also make sure that you follow her on social media so you can do Storytime Live, and then also get those book bundles for your children. They're at home. They need something to do, and this is something that will help them to be entrepreneurs, or at least find out if entrepreneurship is for them. So thank you again. We will see you all on the 4th Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard. Bye-bye.